Yeah, I was trying to play around with the settings on this because there's supposedly there's a way to change the name. And as I was doing it, I got booted off again. I was like, oh crap, And then I just got a text. And I was like, oh, he's gonna be a couple minutes late. I'm like, oh, good, because actually I've got to start the whole program up again. So
Yeah, it's like the real 2021 kind of difficulties here. Yeah.
yeah, well, I just started doing it. I got this set up at home now. I just got this microphone off Amazon yesterday because people are apparently they didn't like the sound of my 2011 Toshiba microphone that's built into this laptop I'm using. So
Oh, damn. That's like, at least it's still chugging though, man. That's a sign of a good laptop to last you that long.
I did a whole thing on the radio the other day about how I have pieces of this thing missing. They just fell off. And it's like you said, it's still chugging along. So I even bought a backup laptop because I thought this thing was going to die about 6, 7 years ago, and it just didn't die. So I'm just going to
Wow.
keep it rolling until it dies, man.
Yeah, the little engine that could, man. It's awesome.
That's right. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been around for a couple of years. And before the interview, I was cranking out your tunes and listening to them. And I got to say, I can't remember the last time I heard an artist where I heard like, oh, it sounds like this. And before I can even think of that thought, all of a sudden it sounded like something else. Then I heard an influence from something else. I go, am I listening to like, is that like the Strokes and Muse and then Roy Orbison? But like the Strokes probably took from Roy Orbison. So that probably goes back to that because I was reading that in your bio. But it really, and then you got that distorted guitar going on. It is really, there's a lot of diversity per song that I was listening to.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like my whole musical being is a stew of everything that I've ever listened to and ever loved. And it all just gets spit out in this kind of like raw rock and energy that I think defines Des Rocs. Like you just not being able to put your finger on what it is, that to me is everything, man. I would hate if you turned it on and you said, oh, here's another down the middle of this or another down the middle of that. Like I always want it to be an event, every record.
Yeah, there's so much changing going on. And I went back to some of your older tracks and the distorted guitar, like such a cool, just a straight up rock and roll sound. So a little bit about your background. Are you from New York City originally, or are you just there now? Or
I'm born and raised New Yorker, fourth generations on both sides. I'm in a next to a graveyard in South Brooklyn. Yeah, and this city just defines every ounce of my being, man. I've been playing rock music in clubs since I could stand and tall enough to hold the guitar and fake my way into like the knitting factory in the city. And yeah, man, I'm all about New York City and rocking, and I can't wait for shows to get back soon.
were you like sneaking into like Kenny's Castaways and Arlene's Grocery and all those places?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. Like, and the thing is, when I was 16 and 15, I looked like I was six. You know what I mean? Like I was not a 15-year-old looking 15-year-old or even in any direction. Yeah, and every weekend I live like 30 minutes outside New York City. Take the train in, see shows, get my ass kicked in a mosh pit, play to two people in a bar, and then get thrown out because I wasn't close to 21. That really defined like my upbringing.
Now, well, how old are you now?
29.
29?
Yeah.
You still get carded, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, actually, I was boarding an airplane 2 years ago, and the woman asked me how old I was because you have to be 16 to fly unaccompanied, and that's a real story. Yeah.
Well, I asked too because it's I mean, I'm grateful that there's still younger generations coming up still want to pick up a guitar, where it seems with being able to make an album on an iPhone with just random beats and whatnot, it seemed like an easy way to make music and everything. And to have generations still coming up that's like, you know what, I'm going to pick up that guitar, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to see what I can make out of it. And it seems like less and less, but still every once in a while it hits. And I see your generation keeping it going. So hopefully, like, the 16, 17-year-olds that hear you will be inspired to pick up a guitar and kind of keep this rock and roll train moving.
Oh, absolutely, man. The guitar is everything to me. It's one of the most versatile instruments I think that's ever been created. And to have it define my sound, it allows me to draw on all these different things, but have it still live under one roof that is Des Rocs. You know what I mean? The guitar for me is my Swiss Army knife, man. I can't live without it.
Now, how did you get exposed to some of the more classic artists like Roy Orbison you know, I mean, the Stones, everyone, I guess, if you listen to music, you're going to get exposed to Stones. Roy Orbison, you got to get a little more refined, I guess, in this day and age to kind of dig him out. So how did you get exposed to these artists growing up?
Man, I didn't really have any sort of like specific route that I took to get to it. I remember just hearing it and like especially Elvis Presley,
Mhm.
and just being immensely inspired by the energy and the emotion of it all. And then I found my way into like AC/DC. My dad, we had this like really old like 80s car that just had a tape deck in it. And he would play like one AC/DC tape. And that's like it was just one AC/DC tape. That's over and over again. And just the power and the simplicity of it was thrilling to me. And especially, I think it was a live concert too. And just hearing people chanting back like a bass line, it was thrilling. It was thrilling. And I from that moment, I was hooked on the grandiosity of it all. You know, like I don't play music thinking like, man, this would be great to play it to a club of like 100 people. I play every show like I'm playing to 80,000.
Now, are you a self-taught musician? Did you take lessons?
No, I never took lessons. I just kind of sounded it out. So to
Mhm.
this day, I'm not exactly a technical player, but I just kind of use the instruments as tools of expression. You know, that's just how I think of it. Like, I think it's just as thrilling if I just sustain one note in one specific way, as opposed to shredding for 3 minutes. You know, it could be just as thrilling.
Now, do you read music or you just kind of hear it, play it, and remember it?
I mean, I used to like be kind of good at it when I was a kid. Like I would was in the orchestra and I learned how to read music. But if you don't use it, you lose it. And I think those days are long behind me.
So like that, because that amazes me too, like how you can just, I mean, to me, it's like you hear a song on the radio, you sing it along, and then next thing you know, you realize, like me as a fan, like I'm messing up all the lyrics. I can't remember anything. And then, and it always impresses me of an artist, they know like what chords to hit all the time, what lyrics to sing all the time. And, especially when you're up and coming, you're not going to have a monitor on stage with your lyrics scrolling through,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's just the same way that like you know exactly how to ask the questions and what questions to ask and like how to dig into an artist and play incredible music. It's just like you do it so much, it just becomes this muscle memory. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
just like, and you're in a flow, and then someone says, "I can't believe you do what you do," and then it blows your mind that they can't believe that you do what you do. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's like a compliment, and I'll take that. I like
Yeah, no, absolutely.
that. But also too, so you got to open up, for the Rolling Stones. I saw, and you got to play for some, pretty big acts. I mean, granted, like, when the Stones are doing a show, they're going to play in front of 80,000 people. When you get there, probably 10,000 or so were in there checking it out. But you say you're going to play like it's a full stadium. What did you pick up from just being in that environment? Because I would imagine that has to be like going to Harvard University for like a day, when you're like when you're like in the same venue and playing the same stage with such a legendary band. It's known for such legendary live shows.
Yeah, I think you have what it's in your head. I started off a couple years ago and just playing little clubs to nobody, and I would play them like I'm playing an arena, and half the people are laughing at me, and the other half are like, "Man, he's got something here." You know what I mean? And then you get there and you fantasize about it your whole life, and it's everything you thought it would be. Uh, and then you come out of that with an insatiable appetite to get back to it as quickly as possible. It is the most addicting thing. It fuels me in a way that is hard to relate. And all I could think about was coming back and not being the opener next time.
It's like you got that like Mick Jagger, Keith Richards energy, and you just like got to like go ahead and recycle it and get it out through like through you, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a drive and there is an insatiable spirit that comes with that kind of atmosphere that I thrive off of. And yeah, man, it's a high that nothing else can quite compare to. Yeah,
Now, did you get to meet him and chat with him at all?
I did. Yeah.
I guess I got to meet him once. There was like a group meet and greet, at Giant Stadium, and when they all walked in like just a bunch of drunken English sailors. It was like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, they come in like a bunch of buds, and
Yeah.
they just talk to you. He was like, "Thanks for doing this." I was like, "Anytime."
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a surreal experience, man. It's surreal to just see somebody so iconic in the flesh. It is.
Now, of course, you're releasing music, and this last bit of music came out in 2020, which is like the worst year for everything. So I've been asking all the artists during our WMGM face to faces that we're doing here. talk about some of the issues you had. Like, do I release the music? Do I hold it back? I can't, since I can't tour on it, like, what do I do? Like, what was the thought process for you when you decide to release your new music?
I think my whole life philosophy has just been keep moving forward. And throughout all the lows that you'll have, professionally or personally, you gotta just keep moving forward. So for me, I made an EP that was very much defined by the times and the environment in which it was made. Like especially a song like "This Is Our Life." So it served as a sort of creative inspiration. And I think everybody has a sort of picture perfect vision of what their life might look like, and things like this happen and will happen again. And I think how you get through it defines who you really are.
I gotta say, for on the radio side, I said this to a few artists who went ahead and said, "Yep, we're going to release it." Obviously, that's why we're talking to them. Thank you for doing that, because at least it gave us something new to look forward to. Kind of broke a lot of people out of the monotony of life and just hearing about coronavirus all the time. It's like, hey, here's some new music for me to check out. Let me go down whatever internet rabbit hole I need to go down to find out more about this artist, and so, thank you for, putting the stuff out, which is really cool.
Thank you, man. Art and music is for me about escapism. And if just for the 19 minutes of that EP, I can take you out of 2020 for a moment, I was happy to do it.
Now, when things do finally get back to normal and it's time to start touring again, like, how did you have a set band, or like do you have to hire people? How does that work out?
Oh yeah, I've got my homies on my left and right, bass and drums, who have been playing with me for many years. And
Mhm.
yeah, they're just my guys, man. We've been in bands together in Brooklyn for a long time. And yeah, we're quite a tour de force.
And then soon, hopefully, we'll see you out on the road down in Atlantic City. We got some clubs for you down here to play. We got some small ones, we got some big ones. Hopefully, you can get in one of them.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's not far. It's 2.5 hours from New York City, and I think things are gonna be getting back to normal very, very soon. So I'm
All
excited.
right. One last thing. Did you pick up any odd hobbies during any of the downtime? Because New York got hit hard. I mean, New York City, you guys had to like kind of really lock down. Here in the
Yeah,
burbs, people are still wandering around a bit, going to the park. I know in the city it was really tough.
March and April were crazy, and it's definitely like exacerbated by the idea that we all live in tiny apartments. So you go a little nuts. But odd hobbies, no, I just became like a real studio rat, man, in a way I never have before. And I really dug into the production side of my records in a way I never have before. There's no like, man, if I could just get off the road for a few weeks and focus on my music, that would be great. All the times you've said that in your life, now you got to make good on it. You know what I mean? Like, so I really make good on it, and I just got to work on my first album that I'm working on now.
All right. Well, Des Rocs, thank you so much for some time today for WMGM Face to Face. We look forward to seeing you down here in South Jersey very, very soon. And best of luck with the new music. And I was jamming to it, man. I got like, Spotify, the way it's set up, it's like you almost make like little mixtapes. So I'm gonna throw it in some of my like mountain biking tunes and some of my driving tunes. This is like driving tune music right here.
Thank you, man. I hope it can just be a fuel to anything you want it to be. So I really appreciate that.
All right, man. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, later.